Today we're looking your dad's home theater setup from the 90s. No, it's the Roland JV 2080. It's a super expandable synth from the JV line, and it's got this crazy seizure-inducing animation in the front. JV series started in 1992 with the JV 80 and 90. It also includes the XP. This is the 2080, which is the rack mount that is super expandable with cards and basically like a whole bunch of bays like a PC. So when we think about this synth, it's like, basically what a DAW is today, where you can just load in VSTs. Here you can see what it looks like. Oftentimes when you buy these, they're like pre-built with lots of cards inside them. That's great. Now there's a lot of effects on this synth, and that makes it really cool. I'm not going to go into every detail of this synthesizer today. I just got it. I've been playing with it for a few hours. But the fact that you have a really great suite of effects. You have a dedicated reverb and chorus, and then an effects bus or system where you can apply a whole bunch of effects, and it's pretty wild what you can do. And here you see a close-up of what that effects routing looks like. It is pretty intuitive to be able to key through the systems, changing the controls with the big knob. But it's also kind of complicated, and you are limited to exactly what it lets you do. So you have the effects routing for the main effects. You've got the chorus and the reverb. But if you're used to using, Ableton Live or other tools like that, you're really able to do way more. You can put multiple reverbs on and do whatever you want. So this is a little bit limiting, but for a hardware synth, it's pretty cool. Keep in mind the JV series came out during peak Rompler, so the fact that you can add so many effects, that you have so many abilities to change the waveforms and adjust them, even though it's like all kind of like this weird, digital synthesis, it is quite great. And the fact that you have a huge amount of sounds, you have 128 user sounds that you can save. There are 3 banks of presets, and of course it is the 90s, a awesome general MIDI bank, of course. And then you have the cards, which are like kind of able to just be slotted in right there from the front of this machine, and then the 8 bays that are in the device itself that you can add synths to, make it really kind of like open-ended as to how you want this synth to be built. I could imagine people having, multiples of these. I definitely have seen that in studios. And you saw this synthesizer like basically in every studio in the late 90s, the 2000s, probably even into the 2010s, because it did give you so much power, so much versatility at the time. So why are we here? I'm looking at a synth that I usually don't even care too much about. This era of synth is kind of boring. Honestly, the reason for it being boring is that it offers a ton of sounds, but it doesn't do much more than the VSTs in your favorite DAW can do for you. And it's like hyper expandability, and the fact that it can really do a whole bunch, like kind of makes it feel like the hardware version of software synths. So I look at this synth as like a 1990s PC, like, dude, you're getting a Dell. And it's great, it's good. It got a lot of good nostalgia, and it really does have a lot of horsepower to it. But I can get this horsepower for like no money and no space taken up in my room or studio, and be all the better for it. So, I think this is a really great piece, and loads of fun, and actually worth checking out, and probably better than any VST version of a JV. But I also don't think it's anything that like is super important for you to have, like maybe having a very simple synth like a Microcorg XL, where you can just like have lots of fun tweaking it and play around with it. I'm sure I'm going to dig deeper into the sounds and synthesis process of this this great JV here. What I'm suggesting at this point is that this is a cool synth, and I found this one for a very small amount of money. You'll find these for under $200, kind of, stripped down like I have. And you can pay up to maybe $700 for a fully loaded one. I do think that if you're into collecting this and you want to have the most loaded one, buy this synth that's pre-expanded, all those patch bays filled, because the expansion cards do cost almost as much as I paid for this unit. And so if you get a unit that includes one or many expansion boards, you're going to be all the better for it because you'll have so much to play with. So if you're an old like me, or really have a penchant for old synthesizers from the 90s, this is a beast, and it is built to last. You may have to change out batteries and things like that, but it is very capable. But it's not anything that you need for your studio, for your home setup, whatever it may be. It is definitely a nice to have, fun piece. You can tweak it a lot, and there are reasons why I will, put samples of what I'm doing through this hardware synth into my digital workstations. However, like, there is nothing here that is totally a requirement for having an awesome 2024 music studio, in my opinion. There are other synths that are far more simple and far more kind of basic, that do feel better in their hardware form. Even the synthesizer that I'm using as a controller, everybody's favorite to love or hate, the K1, to me feels like something that I would rather have as a hardware synth than any VST for it, because it is unhinged and can produce a ton of noise. I hope you found this somewhat interesting, or, my opinions at least somewhat annoying. And if you did so, do like and subscribe. I like sharing this content with you. I love reading the comments and responding to good and bad comments. I really find it a lot of fun. So do share, do like, do subscribe, and tell me what you think about this JV synth.